days of South Swell in a row.
Magic day.
Kevin Wallace here. I'm the director of forecasting at Surfline. Spring's been pretty tough, just about everywhere, whether you're talking about California, you're talking about Mexico, Central America. March and April were just a slow couple of months, and then finally things turned the corner as we rounded into May. Wow. The surf does get pretty good a lot in May. I would say this run was a little bit longer, was a little bit bigger, certainly was better in certain areas. A month-long run of surf is nothing to shake a stick at. The thing that I really noticed ahead of this run, so like late April, early May, was we had this really big high that was just gonna park itself in the Central South Pacific. If you've got that really strong high there, it can sit in place for days, weeks, a month at a time. In the Southern Hemisphere, wind is rotating counterclockwise around that high, and then the low pressure wind is rotating clockwise around it. Think about kind of like gears, basically, working together. So you have winds rotating together, and in the middle, that's the fetch that is pointing and aiming wind in your direction. And not just one area of low pressure, not just one storm, but several, 10, 12, 15 over the course of the last month. So anchored high, anchored storm track in place, and all that wind is blowing for what turned out to be like 4 weeks.
Good, actually clean. There's a couple of big sets, but it looks like the swell is getting building and getting bigger and bigger. So we're currently pushing that way. A couple of big set west. Look at this one, and just beautiful. Check this out. Oh, woo!
So one of the best things about this dream run and really what made it so special is you saw storm after storm after storm move over the same general area of the ocean. Yeah, storm number 1 moves over, excites the sea state. Storm number 2 moves over that already excited sea state, and it doesn't have to start from zero. It's already got, kind of ripples and chop, and so that will enhance the size of the swell, basically. And, in this case, it really benefited Punta Lobos.
The peak of the swell is supposed to be today in the afternoon, and it's glassy and it's supposed to be like huge and glassy, so getting everything ready and hopefully score some amazing waves, an amazing day with friends, and that's it.
Southern California is always a little bit tricky on long period south swells. Really, there's only a few spots. You got like Malibu, you got Trestles area, Wedge. Wedge was probably the craziest.
He's got it.
It was enough to get a lot of people back in the water again. Got me back in the water again for the first time in a while, and really stoked to have some waves. When this run of storms started, the main wind, the main thatch that was aimed up towards the Americas was a little bit further west. And in time, that gradually moved further and further over to the east. This slow, but certainly noticeable change in swell direction over time really played a large role in what spots turned on and what spots turned off, kind of as we moved through the second half of May.
Checking Surfline, all the swell, like hitting all the different parts, the coast of Chile, Mexico, you know, and it all looked amazing. But there's something so nice about scoring at home, you know, just riding your bike to the beach and getting some of the best waves of your life. So super stoked to have stayed here in Nicaragua for the run and just try to score here.
Almost from beginning to end, Puerto has been the star of this run. When you have, I don't know, like whatever, 30 days of south swell in a row, and then conditions pretty much cooperated the whole time too.
Conditions are really, really, really good. We have, I think, the best May in many, many, many years. Perfect offshores in May, man.
Honestly remember a month of May that was so consistent with big swells. Yeah, in my 20 years of going down there, I'm going to put it up there as, you know, arguably the very best.
Pues iba sin expectativas. El mar había tenido días que no había limpiado y hoy se veía muy limpio, entonces decidí entrar. Los primeros 5 minutos me salió esa ola.
Oh.
Feliz, ¿qué puedo decir? Buen swell. Creo que me rayé.
I think that the real key with this run and why Puerto was so good is the swell direction was just about ideal for this whole run. When you have more southerly angled swells in Puerto, the offshore canyon can really work its magic in terms of amplifying the size of the swell into breaking waves, but more importantly, creating peakier conditions. You're looking for all of these things to align for Puerto for it to be really good. Like a slight tweak in swell direction, the swell period's maybe a little bit too long on the front end, and it can go from, you know, looking really good on paper to just being like totally unmakeable, closed out. So it's great to see all those little factors line up.
This next swell looks amazing. It looks huge. Pretty nervous, definitely. Because it looks bigger than, I mean, the numbers look bigger than the last swell, but I don't know. That's pretty scary.
Dream runs like this are really rare. They don't happen all that often, and what we saw in the South Pacific this May was just one of those times when you see a really special run of waves line up. We've got El Nino developing now. A lot of times that means we get more of these types of runs where waves pump for weeks on end. We'll see what happens here over the next year, but until then, we'll see you out in the water.